The celestial healing station hung suspended in the void like a forgotten ornament, its curved metal hull reflecting the distant starlight with a dull sheen. Once a bustling medical hub during the galactic confluence, it now drifted in solitary orbit around the ice planet Vespera, a relic of more prosperous times. Few vessels approached these days, only those carrying the desperate, the abandoned, or the forgotten. Finn Hadley stared out the observation deck's window, his reflection ghosting against the backdrop of stars. At 35, his face carried the weathered lines of someone who had seen too much too soon. Auburn hair hung loose around his shoulders, and his beard remained perpetually 2 days overgrown. Not the image of a healer, perhaps, but appearances had long ceased to matter in this lonely outpost. The station's alert system chimed softly, breaking the silence. Finn glanced at the notification panel, an unscheduled arrival requesting emergency docking procedures. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. These unexpected visitors were rarely good news. "Permission granted," he muttered to the system, watching as the station's automated protocols engaged. "Alert Joram and Pella," the 2 other permanent staff would want to know. The visitor was a sleek diplomatic vessel, its silver hull unmarked save for subtle insignia that Finn recognized with surprise. Nalari Diplomatic Corps, rare this far from their homeworld of Nylar Prime. The vessel's elegance contrasted sharply with the station's utilitarian design as it glided into the docking bay. Finn made his way down, curiosity piqued. The Nalari were a secretive species, known for their cultural sophistication and biological uniqueness. Their translucent blue skin contained trace bioluminescent cells that pulsed with their heartbeats. They rarely sought help from off-worlders, especially humans. The vessel's hatch hissed open, revealing 2 tall Nylari escorts, their ceremonial robes flowing around their slender frames. Between them floated a medical suspension pod, and upon it lay a figure that drew Finn's full attention. She was unmistakably Nylari nobility. The intricate patterns etched into her azure skin marked her high status. Her hair, a deeper blue that bordered on indigo, was arranged in an elaborate series of braids interwoven with silver threads. But what struck Finn most was her stillness. Not the stillness of slumber, but of someone who had learned to exist without motion, someone who had grown accustomed to limitations. "I am Finn Hadley, senior healer at this station," he introduced himself, approaching the pod with professional caution. One of the escorts stepped forward. "I am Vex, personal guard to Lady Tazara Enversh of the Third Harmony of Nylar Prime. She requires medical assistance of a specialized nature." Finn nodded, already running a visual assessment. "What's her condition?" "A progressive neural deterioration affecting her lower extremities," Vex replied, his tone formal. "It has resisted all Nylari treatments. You are our 7th consultation." 7 different medical facilities. Finn glanced at the woman, Tazara, with renewed interest. Her eyes were open now, watching him. They were remarkable, deep violet with flecks of silver, like miniature galaxies. "Why bring her here?" Finn asked bluntly. "We're hardly the most advanced facility in the quadrant." The second escort spoke, her voice softer. "Because you are known for attempting what others will not." Ah, so they had heard of his reputation. Not always a compliment in medical circles. "May I?" Finn gestured toward the pod's diagnostic panel. The escorts exchanged a glance before nodding. As Finn accessed the medical data, Tazara spoke for the first time. Her voice was unexpectedly melodic, though rough from disuse. "You need not speak about me as if I am not present, Healer Hadley." Finn looked up, meeting those violet eyes. "My apologies, Lady Tazara, professional habit." A slight curve of her blue lips, not quite a smile, but close. A poor one. Despite himself, Finn felt a smile tug at his own mouth. Agreed. The medical readouts confirmed Vex's assessment. Progressive neural deterioration focused primarily in the spinal cord, resulting in increasing paralysis of the lower limbs. But something about the pattern seemed unusual. "How long?" he asked. "Since childhood," Tazara answered. "I have not walked unassisted since my 12th cycle." Nearly 20 years by human reckoning. Finn frowned, studying the scans more carefully. And the pain. Tazara's eyes widened fractionally, surprised that he had detected what others had perhaps missed. "Constant," she admitted, "though our physicians have tried many pain management protocols." Finn nodded, still scanning the data. I'd like to run my own diagnostic series if you'll permit it. Our equipment is unconventional but effective. The escorts looked to Tazara, who studied Finn for a long moment before inclining her head. Proceed. As they moved through the station corridors toward the main medical bay, Finn noticed how Tazara's gaze moved constantly, taking in every detail of her surroundings. Not with the wariness of someone in a strange place, but with the curiosity of a natural scholar. This station is older than it appears, she observed. Repurposed after the confluence, Finn confirmed. Originally designed as a military medical facility. And now it serves whoever needs it, Finn replied simply. The medical bay was Finn's domain, a blend of standard Federation technology and modified equipment of his own design. Joram, a burly Tauran with golden skin that contrasted with his white medical uniform, looked up as they entered. Unscheduled arrival, he rumbled. Lady Tazara Enversh, Finn introduced. She'll be staying with us for a while. Tazara's escorts moved her from the suspension pod to one of the bay's examination tables with practiced care. Even this small transfer seemed to cause her pain, though she masked it well. Only a slight tightening around her eyes betrayed her discomfort. Your escorts can wait outside if you prefer privacy, Finn offered. Tazara shook her head. Vex and Neri have seen me at my worst. Their presence is comforting. Finn began his examination with traditional methods, physical assessment first, then non-invasive scans. As he worked, he maintained a steady conversation, noting how Tazara responded. Your condition is unusual, he observed, studying a neural mapping display. Not typical degeneration. The pathways aren't destroyed, they're blocked, like a river diverted, not dried up. Tazara's eyes fixed on him with sudden intensity. Are you certain? Reasonably, Finn replied. I'd need to run more specialized tests to confirm. For the first time, something like hope flickered across Tazara's face. The Nalari physicians believed the neural pathways were irreparably damaged. With respect to Nalari medicine, which is excellent in most respects, Finn said carefully, human neurological study has taken some unconventional paths. We've had to adapt to our relatively fragile physiology. As the examination continued, Pella entered, a Vestan healer with pale green skin and eyes that could see spectrums invisible to most humanoids. She nodded respectfully to the visitors before conferring quietly with Finn. What do you think? He asked her. Pella studied the scans. Atypical presentation. I agree with your assessment, blockage rather than degradation, but the pattern is strange. That's what I thought. Finn turned back to Tazara. With your permission, I'd like to try something different. The escorts shifted uneasily, but Tazara's gaze never wavered. What do you propose? A direct neural stimulation technique. Minimally invasive, but it might tell us more about these blockages. Will it be painful? Tazara asked, her voice steady. Finn appreciated her directness. Possibly. I can administer an analgesic if you prefer. No, I would rather remain fully conscious. Finn nodded, respecting her choice. As he prepared the stimulation device, he noticed how the light from the overhead panels played across Tazara's blue skin, creating patterns like ripples on water. Beautiful, in an otherworldly way. The stimulation began, small pulses of precisely targeted energy designed to map neural responses. Tazara's hands gripped the edges of the table, but she made no sound, her breathing carefully controlled. Then something unexpected happened. As one particular pulse traveled along her spinal column, Tazara's left foot twitched, a small, involuntary movement, but unmistakable. Everyone in the room froze. Did you see that? Vex asked, his formal demeanor cracking. I felt it, Tazara whispered, her eyes wide. Finn kept his expression neutral, though excitement surged through him. Let's try again, he said calmly. The second pulse produced the same result. Another twitch, slightly stronger this time. That shouldn't be possible, Neri murmured. Not after all this time. But Finn was already formulating theories, possibilities opening before him like doors unlocking one after another. He met Tazara's gaze, seeing the question there. It means, he said carefully, that your condition might be more treatable than previously thought. You believe you can help me walk again? Tazara asked, her voice barely audible. Finn hesitated. False hope was the cruelest thing a healer could offer. I believe we should continue investigating. Today's results are promising. As the escorts helped Tazara back to the suspension pod, Finn noticed a subtle change in her demeanor, a straightening of her shoulders, a new alertness in her eyes. Just the possibility of improvement had already changed something fundamental. The crystal formations on Talon's blue skin caught the ambient light of Neera's treatment chamber, refracting it into delicate rainbows that danced across the walls. 7 days had passed since his arrival at Haven's Edge, and though the progression of his crystallization had slowed under Neera's care, it hadn't stopped. Time was running out. "You're fighting it," Neera observed as she adjusted the energy stabilizers surrounding his bed. Her purple fingers worked with practiced precision, her bioluminescent markings pulsing in concentration. Most beings would have surrendered to such a transformation by now. Talon's galaxy eyes followed her movements. "Surrendering has never been my nature. Even when resistance causes pain." She gestured to the places where crystal and flesh met, visibly tender and raw. "Some things are worth the pain," he replied simply. Neera had been using conventional medicine supplemented with minor energy work, just enough to ease his discomfort without forming the deeper connection that true healing required. But it wasn't enough. The crystal had begun spreading across his chest, creeping toward his heart. Once it reached that point, even her full abilities might not save him. "Tell me about your star," she said, partly to distract him as she prepared a particularly potent remedy, partly because she found herself genuinely curious. What was it like to be connected to something so vast? A smile broke across Talon's face, momentarily transcending his pain. "Imagine never being alone. Imagine feeling the pulse of creation flowing through you constantly. My star, Lyria, was young as stars go, vibrant and blue-white. We grew together." "We." "All Australians share a bond with a stellar anchor. It sustains us, guides us." His expression darkened. "When the Void Eaters came, they didn't just destroy our system. They consumed our star's energy, leaving nothing behind, not even remnants for us to connect with." Neera paused in her work. "Void Eaters? I thought the Australian system was destroyed by a natural supernova." Talon's galaxy eyes flashed. "That's what the Stellar Conquered wants everyone to believe. The truth would cause too much panic." "What truth?" Neera pressed, sensing something significant beneath his words. Before he could answer, Talon winced as a new crystal formation suddenly broke through the skin of his forearm. Neera moved quickly, placing her hands over the fresh wound. Without conscious thought, she allowed her energy to flow deeper than she had permitted in years, seeking the source of the crystal's growth. What she found shocked her. Beneath the crystallization was not decay, but transformation. Talon's Australian essence was attempting to create a new stellar anchor within his own body. He wasn't dying. He was becoming something unprecedented. "Talon," she gasped, pulling back, "your body is trying to form a star core." He nodded weakly. "The final stage before complete crystallization. When it finishes, I'll become a living star fragment, conscious but imprisoned in crystal, neither truly alive nor dead." "But why would evolution design such a cruel fallback?" "Not evolution, engineering." Talon's voice dropped to a whisper. "My people weren't born of natural processes, Neera. We were created as guardians, living sentinels designed to monitor stellar health across this sector of the galaxy." Neera sat heavily on the edge of his bed, her markings pulsing with surprise. "Created by whom?" "The predecessors, beings who ascended beyond physical form millennia ago. They left us to watch over their stellar engineering." The revelation stunned Neera. The predecessors were considered mythical by most civilizations, godlike entities whose supposed technological wonders were dismissed as exaggerated legends. "If what you're saying is true," she said slowly, "then you're not just the last Australian, you're a living artifact of the predecessors themselves." Talon reached for her hand, his partially crystallized fingers cool against her purple skin. "Now you understand why I cannot surrender to this transformation yet. The Void Eaters weren't destroyed after consuming my system. They've been dormant, gathering strength. Soon they'll awaken again." "And without the Australians to warn everyone," Neera began. "Countless stars will die," he finished. "Billions of lives lost." The weight of his words settled between them. Neera stood, her decision made. "I need to attempt a full healing bond. It's the only way to possibly reverse the crystallization." Talon's galaxy eyes widened. You said you wouldn't. Circumstances change, she cut him off, her markings pulsing with renewed determination. Rest now. Tonight, when the station aligns with the dying star, the ambient energy will be stronger. That's when we'll try. For the remainder of the day, Neera prepared herself physically and mentally for what was to come. A full healing bond with her own kind was intimate enough. Sharing one with an entity as alien as an Australian was unprecedented. She meditated in her private chamber, allowing her natural luminescence to fully emerge, her entire body glowing with purple light. Pix hovered nearby, chirping concerned notes. I know it's risky, she responded to the droid's wordless worry, but sometimes the greater risk is in doing nothing. When the time came, Haven's Edge had rotated to face the dying red star directly. Its feeble light bathed the medical chamber in a warm crimson glow that complemented Neera's purple luminescence. Talon lay in the center of the room, surrounded by crystalline amplifiers she had arranged in a specific pattern. Are you certain? He asked as she approached. Once begun, a bond cannot be easily broken. Neera nodded, her face solemn. I understand the risks. She placed her hands on his chest, avoiding the sharpest crystal formations. Closing her eyes, she began the ancient Luminian healing invocation, her voice melodic in the quiet chamber. From light to light, from star to heart, where endings flow to new starts. I offer connection, I offer release. Through my essence, find your peace. Her entire body blazed with purple light as she opened herself completely, her consciousness reaching out to merge with Talon's. The initial contact was disorienting. Unlike connecting with organic minds, Talon's consciousness felt vast and diffuse, more like entering a nebula than a defined space. Colors swirled around her mental presence, blues and silvers predominating, but with undertones of gold and purple that hadn't been visible in his physical form. Deeper she pushed, seeking the core of him, the place where the transformation had begun. What she found was unexpected. At Talon's center burned not one stellar connection, but fragments of many, dozens of stellar anchors, miniature and incomplete, as if he had been desperately trying to forge new connections with any star he encountered. None had fully formed, leading to his current crystallizing state. Talon, she whispered within the bond, you've been trying to connect with multiple stars. His mental voice resonated around her. After Lyria died, I couldn't bear the emptiness. I tried to forge new bonds, but none would hold. Because you're still holding onto Lyria, Neera realized, sensing his lingering attachment. You have to let her go before you can form a new anchor. I can't, his voice fractured. She was everything to me. The depth of his grief washed over Neera, millennia of connection severed in an instant. No wonder his body was failing. His very essence was caught between holding on and transforming. Show me Lyria, Neera requested gently. Help me understand what you've lost. The mental landscape shifted, and suddenly they were floating in space before a magnificent blue-white star that pulsed with life and energy. Through Talon's memories, Neera felt the profound connection he had shared with this stellar body, not simply symbiotic, but a true partnership of consciousness. Lyria had been both mother and companion to him, her stellar flare's communications as clear as spoken words. She was beautiful, Neera acknowledged, feeling his loss acutely now. She died protecting me, Talon's mental voice broke. When the Void Eaters came, she flared with everything she had, giving me time to escape. I watched her light be devoured until nothing remained. Understanding dawned on Neera. You carry survivor's guilt. You believe you should have died with your star. The mental space around them darkened as Talon's emotions surged. I was her guardian. I failed her. No, Neera countered firmly. You honored her sacrifice by surviving, by carrying on the warning she died to make possible. She felt his resistance, his reluctance to accept her perspective. Then, drawing on her healer's training, Neera did something unprecedented. She began to share her own memories with him. The banishment from Lumina, the years of isolation, the constant fear of discovery, but also moments of joy, helping those who came to Haven's Edge, finding purpose in her exile, learning to forgive herself. We both carry burdens of the past, she told him, but they don't define our future. As their consciousnesses intertwined more deeply, something unexpected happened. Neera felt a pull toward the fragments of stellar connections within Talon, as if her own energy was resonating with them. Her Luminian healing ability had always drawn power from her homeworld's crimson sun, Perhaps there was more similarity between their species than anyone had realized. Talon, she whispered, an idea forming. I think I can help you form a new anchor. How? My healing energy. It's stellar-based too, just filtered through Luminian biology. If I direct it to one of these fragments. She focused her energy on the strongest of the stellar fragments within him, pouring her healing light into it. The fragment began to pulse, growing stronger, drawing in the others until they merged into a single point of brilliant light at his core. In the physical world, Talon's body arched off the bed as golden light began to shine from within him, breaking through the crystal formations. The crystals didn't shatter but rather transformed, becoming translucent conduits for the light now flowing through him. Nira gasped as she felt their energies aligning, resonating in a harmony she'd never experienced before. This wasn't just. Sarilla sat in the central lab, her long blue fingers wrapped tightly around the armrests of her medical chair. The cold light of the overhead panels made her skin glow faintly, casting a pale aura around her motionless form. Nearby, Elias reviewed data on a floating display, his expression caught between focus and concern. The neural junctions beyond the block are intact, he said, his voice steady. We can guide nanobots through with photonic mapping to clear the debris, like untangling a web. Sarilla nodded, lips pressed into a line. And my body, it will accept these machines. Elias hesitated. There's a risk. Your species hasn't undergone this kind of invasive tech treatment before, but everything about your physiology suggests compatibility. She turned her gaze to the window. Twin moons hung above the icy curve of the planet below. My people will not accept this. Do you? He asked. She closed her eyes. I do. News of the planned procedure reached the ears of the Gelantari High Circle, the ruling body of her people, within days. Council voices echoed across secure transmissions. The human interferes in sacred flesh. We forbade alteration. He must be stopped. But Sarilla was no longer a silent figure on a floating bed. She requested a direct message be broadcast to the council. I choose my own path. My condition was not chosen, my future is. The council's reply was silence. Inside the outpost, preparations began. Elias carefully calibrated the nanobot dispersal unit while a medic from another neutral species, a beige-skinned Taleri named Vosh, assisted him. Though Vosh said little, his eyes gleamed with quiet curiosity at the human's resolve. Elias looked at Sarilla. Are you ready? She drew in a breath. I am terrified, but that's not the same as being unwilling. He smiled. No, it is. She lay back, long braids draped like silver threads over the medical couch. Elias activated the unit. Tiny spheres no larger than dust motes entered through a painless injection site at the base of her neck. They glowed faintly under the skin, mapping the blocked nerve highways. Sarilla's breathing quickened. I feel a pulse. Good, that's them beginning to clear the path. For hours, he monitored her vitals. The nanobots worked silently, guided by beams of low-frequency light, dissolving scar tissue and rebridging old nerve roots. At one point, an alert beeped. Reaction spike, Vosh said. Immune flare. Elias adjusted a dial, watching the wave of tension stabilize. We expected that. She's strong. She'll adapt. When the final nanobot reached its target and the mapping was complete, the room went still. It's done, Elias whispered. The signals should now be able to reach your legs. It's time to rest. Sarilla opened her eyes, and they shimmered with emotion. No one has ever fought for me like this, not like you. He sat beside her. I didn't do this alone, you fought too. Outside, storms rolled over the blue planet, but inside, a spark had taken root. Somewhere deep within her body, forgotten pathways had come alive again. And in the quiet of that alien outpost, defiance was reborn as hope.